The royal chamber of the alien palace was silent. Light from tall crystal windows poured across the silver floor, reflecting off polished armor and the pale skin of the guards. The air smelled of metal and rain. Princess Lyra Valen stood at the center, her long white robe flowing behind her, her heart beating faster than she wanted. In front of her stood the human soldier they had captured during the last battle. His armor was scratched and burned, his hands chained, but his eyes were calm. She tried not to show emotion. A princess must always look strong, that was what her mother had taught her. But when she looked at the human, something inside her shifted. He was taller than she expected, his face tired but proud. There was no fear in his eyes. He didn't bow. He didn't plead. He just stood there silent, waiting for her to speak. Her voice came out steady but cold. "State your name and your purpose." The human raised his head slowly. "Captain Ethan Reed," he said. His voice was deep and even. "My purpose was to protect my people." Lyra frowned. His tone carried no hate, no anger. He sounded honest. "Too honest. You crossed into our border and attacked our stations," she said. He met her gaze. "We were defending ours." "You attacked first." Gasps rose among the guards. No one ever spoke to the princess like that. She lifted her hand and the guards fell silent again. Ethan didn't lower his eyes. He just waited. Lyra's stomach tightened. She had faced enemy commanders before, men who shouted, begged, or lied. This one was different, calm, steady, almost human in a way she didn't understand. "You expect me to believe that your invasion was defense?" she asked. "I expect you to believe what's true," he replied. Her breath caught for a moment. She was not used to defiance, but there was no mockery in his words, only truth. She turned away, pretending to look at the report on her tablet. Her hands trembled slightly and she hid them in the folds of her robe. She wanted to stay composed. The court watched every move, every blink. A single weakness could turn into gossip by nightfall. "Tell me," she said without turning, "why didn't you escape when your soldiers retreated?" Ethan's reply came quietly. "Someone had to stay behind. I gave them time to leave." That answer made her chest feel heavy. He had stayed to protect his people, knowing it meant capture or death. She looked up again. His eyes were tired but steady. He had accepted his fate long before they brought him here. "You are brave," she said without thinking. He gave a small smile. "So are you, princess. You stand here in front of an enemy and speak instead of hiding behind your guards." She froze. No one had ever spoken to her like that, equal to equal. Her guard shifted again, unsure whether to take it as an insult. She raised a hand slightly, stopping them. She didn't want him punished. She just wanted to understand why his words made her heart feel unsteady. Lyra took a step closer. She could see the small cut across his cheek, the dirt on his armor, the way his shoulders stayed straight even in chains. "You don't look afraid," she said. "Fear doesn't help," he answered. "I've seen too much of it already." Her throat felt dry. "And if I order your execution?" He looked at her without flinching. "Then I hope my people make it home safely." "That's all that matters." Lyra didn't know how to respond. His calm made her uneasy. It wasn't arrogance, it was strength. A quiet kind of strength she had never seen before. She turned to the guards. "Leave us," she said softly. When the doors closed, silence filled the room again. She could hear the faint sound of thunder beyond the city dome. She walked closer to him, her eyes studying his face. "You risked your life for others," she said. "I did what any soldier should," Ethan replied. "Same as you." She blinked. "You think we're the same?" "I think duty feels the same no matter the world." Something inside her cracked. The wall she had built for years, made of pride, loyalty, and fear, started to break. Her people had called humans cruel, but standing here she saw something else. Courage, sadness, honor. "You shouldn't confuse me, human," she whispered. He smiled faintly. "I'm not trying to." For a moment she forgot her title. She forgot the war. She only saw a man who refused to bow even in defeat. A man who carried quiet dignity. She turned away quickly, her pulse racing. "You will remain here," she said, trying to sound firm. "Under my protection." He frowned slightly. "Protection? From whom?" "From those who would harm you," she said. Her voice trembled before she could stop it. He didn't argue. He only nodded once. "Then I thank you, princess." She didn't look back as she walked away, her robe whispering across the floor. Her heart was unsteady, her mind a storm. She told herself it was only curiosity, only confusion. But deep down she knew something had changed the moment she met his eyes. Outside the chamber, lightning flashed against the glass dome, lighting up the alien sky. Lyra paused at the door, her hand pressed against her chest. She could feel her pulse beating faster than before. For the first time in her life, the princess of an empire felt uncertain, not of her throne, not of her people, but of her own heart. And somewhere behind those doors the human soldier closed his eyes, wondering why the look in her eyes made captivity feel less like a prison, and more like the beginning of something he couldn't name. The next morning, Lyra walked through the palace corridor with slow steps. Her thoughts were not clear. She had not slept the whole night. The image of the human soldier kept returning to her mind again and again. His calm eyes, his quiet tone, his strange honesty. It confused her. She had met many warriors before, but none of them made her feel this way. Outside his chamber, 2 guards stood with weapons crossed. When they saw her, they bowed quickly. "Your Highness, the human is still secured," one of them said. Lyra nodded. "Open the door." They looked at each other in surprise, but obeyed. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, Ethan sat near the wall, his hands still bound, his armor half removed. He looked tired but not broken. When he saw her, he slowly stood up. "I didn't expect the princess herself to visit again," he said quietly. "I came to ask more questions," she replied, though she wasn't sure if that was the real reason. He gave a faint smile. "Ask anything." She walked closer. The room smelled of metal and the faint scent of the flowers placed near the window. The sunlight reflected from the alien city below, filling the chamber with soft green light. Lyra folded her hands in front of her. "You said you stayed behind for your people. Why?" "Because they trusted me to protect them," he said simply. "I couldn't let them die while I escaped, even if it meant your death?" He nodded. "Yes, some things are worth dying for." Lyra looked down at the floor. Those words felt heavy. Her own people spoke of duty, but it was always tied to power or pride. What he spoke of sounded different, something deeper. She wanted to understand it, but she didn't know how. "You humans are strange," she said softly. "Strange how?" "You fight with such cruelty," she said. "Yet you speak of loyalty and kindness." "It doesn't make sense," he shrugged slightly. "Maybe it's because we have both. Darkness and light. We choose which one wins each day." Lyra raised her eyes to him. His answer was not what she expected, and it made her chest ache in a way she didn't understand. "You speak like someone who has seen much loss." "I have," he said. "War doesn't leave anyone untouched." There was silence between them for a while. Outside, the hum of the city filled the quiet. Lyra studied his face. The scars, the tired eyes, and yet there was strength there, a kind of peace she had never seen in any of her kind. "I was told humans are ruthless," she said slowly. "But you don't seem that way." Ethan smiled faintly. "And I was told your people have no heart. I guess stories lie on both sides." She blinked in surprise. "No one has ever spoken to me like that." "Then maybe that's what you need," he said calmly. Her lips parted slightly, but she couldn't find a reply. He wasn't afraid to speak truth, and that truth cut through the layers of titles and rules that surrounded her life. She had always felt trapped by her crown, by the weight of her mother's expectations, and now a human, her enemy, was the first person to talk to her like she was just herself. "Tell me about your world," she said after a moment. "Earth." Ethan looked toward the window, his eyes distant. "It's blue," he said softly. "Full of water and forests and wind. It's loud and quiet at the same time. We fight, we build, we dream. Sometimes we fail, but we keep going. That's what humans do best, we keep going." His words painted pictures in her mind. Oceans stretching under clouds, mountains, rain, people laughing. She had seen Earth only through military reports, never through eyes that loved it. "It sounds beautiful," she whispered. "It is," he said, "even when it's broken." Lyra didn't realize she had moved closer. They were now only a few steps apart. She could see the faint lines on his face, the way his eyes softened when he spoke about home. It made her heart feel strange again. "You miss it," she said quietly. "Every day." Her fingers brushed the edge of her robe. She wanted to say something comforting, but her throat tightened. Instead, she whispered, "You will not be harmed here. I will make sure of it." Ethan studied her carefully. "Why are you doing this, princess? Protecting an enemy?" She turned away. "Maybe because I don't see you as one anymore." The silence after that was heavy. Lyra felt her own words echo inside her chest, frightening and warm at the same time. She could sense his eyes on her, but she didn't dare look back. "You shouldn't say things like that," he said softly. "Someone might hear you." "I don't care," she whispered. "Let them." A knock came at the door, breaking the moment. One of the guards stepped inside. "Your Highness, the Queen requests your presence in the war chamber." Lyra straightened quickly. "Tell her I'll come shortly." When the guard left, she turned back to Ethan. "Do not speak of this meeting," she said. He nodded once. "I wouldn't." As she walked toward the door, she paused and looked over her shoulder. He was watching her, but not like a prisoner. More like someone who understood her silence. Their eyes met one last time before she left the room. In the long hallway, her heart beat fast. For the first time, she wondered if the enemy she had been taught to hate was the one person who could show her what truth really meant. That night, as the alien city lights glowed beneath the stars, Lyra stood by her window. The sound of distant thunder rolled again. She thought of the human's words, "Some things are worth dying for." She whispered them under her breath and felt her chest tighten. She didn't know yet that soon she would have to choose what she was willing to die for, too.